All right. Welcome to the Premier Coaching Program. Today's session is a one-on-one coaching session with me. So we have on the docket today, Kristen, Goldie, Michelle, Janet, and Verla all have one-on-one sessions with me today. Those sessions will be about 14 minutes. You can take all your 14 minutes if you want. You can use some of it for feedback from the group if you'd like, or if you have something small you want to work on, we'll take as much time as you need up to the 14 minutes. And this recording will be available later this afternoon. We'll send out an email for you. So if you want to go back and watch anything, if you want the ability to record your part of the coaching session, I'm going to go ahead and set up allow record right now. Maybe, let's see. It's not going to let me do that. That's weird. Oh, it will allow me to do it for a few of you. I think it depends on what kind of a device you're on. Anyway, we'll figure that out. But it is being recorded, so you'll have access to it. And then before we get started with the actual coaching, I'd like to just do a quick check-in. One, to say we are going to miss Kate today. Kate is not able to join this morning, so I'm sorry that we're going to miss her. And Kate is super excited to watch the replay. So hi, Kate. But let's do a check-in. Anybody have a win or anything they want to share with the group before we get started this morning on coaching calls? Nobody had a win lately?
I will share a win. Oh, okay. Go ahead, Goldie.
Oh, okay, thanks. I had just a really great month in sales. It was good.
Congratulations. I love
both in the practice and with coaching. So
ooh, that's nice to hear. Congrats.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good.
That's awesome.
What about you, Michelle?
Well, I have an overall goal for the next, couple of years to grow my business by a minimum of $3,500 recurring revenue every month. And so that will take me, in a year and a half, would take me to over $100K a month in recurring revenue. And so starting August 31st was beginning of, I go in like 12-week sprints.
Yeah.
And we are at 2290.
Oh.
And it's only the 9th.
Girl.
So I'm really excited about that.
That is super exciting. Congratulations. And reoccurring revenue. Is there anything better?
I know, right?
Yeah, I love it. Congrats. That's amazing.
Thank you.
How about you, Janet? Verla?
I'm running my second sequential email series right now. Today's my last day. It has not been as successful as the first one, I think. Okay. But I'm running it to a much smaller group. It's local and it's for in-person sessions. So it's not easily accessible to people. They can't jump on Zoom, right?
Right.
And it's a lot higher priced, potentially. Like it's triple the price.
Yeah.
So, but one session, one package nets me 7 sessions in-house, right? So I wanted 10, and that was going to book me through the end of the year, right?
Yeah.
So far I've got 3, and I'll probably get 2 more today is my guess. As a result of doing it, we've cleaned up my local email.
Good.
My local list. And so I think we sent locally to just under 300 people.
Okay.
And so, it's not a very good result. And so I think I priced it too high, but at the same time, I'm not willing to do in-house, in-person sessions right now for any less. So, but the interesting thing is, I don't have room for more people. I don't have room for more clients. The income that's coming in is good.
Well,
so how do you complain, right?
Yeah.
I think it's a win.
I mean, it's actually not that bad of a conversion rate considering, because if you send it to 300 people, and depending on what your open rate is, so even if you had a 50% open rate, would be 150 people opened it. And 5 sales out of 150 people is actually a really good conversion rate.
I'll look at my open rate. I've been so busy, I haven't even looked at my open rate.
And you probably don't have a 50% open rate. Like if you do, that's awesome.
Oh, I do.
You do? Okay.
I normally have higher than that.
Okay. Wow. So it could just be that, well, one, I get it that you wanted 10. Don't give up, right? If there's still time, keep pushing. But
Yeah.
5 out of 150 or 5 out of 200 people is a decent sell-through. And then to a list, right? To a list. And then what you're saying is that you don't really even have room for additional clients. So I think that's a success. And I like to have a good, better, best goal when I'm doing this. So if 10 was your best, 5 is probably what I would have said would have been the good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm amazed at the income that's coming in, right? It's pretty much what I was doing pre-COVID. So
yeah.
And my classes are way down. I just did one of my main classes for the first time since February this weekend, and I had 5 people in it. One came in from Florida / Puerto Rico, the other from New York City, and then I had 2 from Olympia and one from north of Seattle. So it's it's going.
People are still showing up for you, Verla.
What?
I said people are still showing up for you. That's awesome.
Yeah, and then I was home at the ranch, so my nephew and I got to work on the new website, askverla.com, and we're going to have two front end leading to it. Ignite True Love, and the other one is Alchemy of Dating. 2 pages leading to it, and so we started that. That was kind of fun.
Good. I think those are some good wins. I like it.
So we're
awesome.
We're going on another stream of income when I don't even have time to manage the one I've got. But I think it's important, in this culture we're in right now, if you can call it a culture that's developing, to figure out what people are looking for.
Always.
What people need.
And you hire people to support you, right? So that you can manage, right? What are the tasks that you can get off your plate and pay somebody else to do so you can continue to grow the revenue? Yeah, good. How about you, Janet? Any win that you want?
I'm going to save my time for my spotlight.
Okay, that's totally fine.
Maybe you'll give me an extra minute.
Okay. Okay, I will. All right, well, let's jump in then. And who would like to go first? Who has something they're like ready to start some coaching on? And let me get my timer set up. I just realized I didn't do that.
Well, I'll just go. How about that?
Perfect, my friend.
So I have 3 topics in 15 minutes. And
okay.
I just want to compliment Michelle. I swear, you're a badass when it comes to driving business, girl. I love it. I say that in the highest, with all the love in the world. And this recurring revenue, I do that personally in my own, I have real estate and things like that, but I haven't been able to figure that out with my own business, Lasting Impressions. But I would like to ask for some insights on recurring revenue for Lasting Impressions. And I think one of the opportunities could be the writing. We just did finish the project that I mentioned to you. I requested the opportunity to serve a client, and we got the piece of business, and we're done. We've already written their blogs for the month of September, and they were delighted. We met with them yesterday, and they're just thrilled.
Awesome.
So I had my copywriter do the heavy lifting, and we're going to debrief today. And I said, would you be willing to do any more? She's like, I'll take on as much work as you want to give me. So I'm open to that, and I'm open to any other suggestions you might have for reoccurring revenue. Maybe I haven't thought about I don't know.
What about, so I will say from a reoccurring revenue, what the thing that comes to mind for me for this, if we're talking about writing, is if you were writing for a particular category, right, on a particular topic, you could have people that pay you monthly to get access to that content that they could then put into their own newsletters. That would be reoccurring, right? That they sign up and that every month they get like pieces of copy to put into their newsletter. Now, it may have to be industry specific, I don't know. But that's where my brain goes from a writing for reoccurring.
Is there a confidentiality? I mean, we wrote these articles specifically for these.
Yeah, but these wouldn't,
client.
no, so these wouldn't be, so you wouldn't use these, right? The ones that you wrote for somebody who paid
Well,
you.
they were generic. They were generic topics.
But you could use like topics, right? That are, maybe they're relevant to the month, or they've got a theme to them, or there's something. And then people could sign up and get access to this content. Because content creation for a lot of people is a stretch. It's a struggle. The other piece that I could see would have a reoccurring piece to it is that if you took those same blog posts and then you created stuff that they could then repurpose on social media as like multiple posts throughout the month or throughout the week, and they could be taking pieces of that. That's another place that people could sign up. Like that could be potentially that could be like a membership program where you're a part of the, lasting impressions for whatever, right? Membership. And so that's reoccurring. And you're just putting that information out there. Like, I don't know if I've shown this to you guys before, but I actually pay for this. This is a newsletter that comes from my coach. I pay a monthly fee for this, and they print it and send it to you. And in it is, for the month, all different types of ideas of how to grow your membership, right? So, and sometimes he gives like language suggestions. Sometimes he gives like promotion suggestions in here. I haven't actually read this one, so I'm not sure what's in here, but he breaks it down and says like, here's stuff that you should be doing each day. But so this is reoccurring revenue for him because he has a huge amount of people that purchase this from him every single month. Now I could cancel, right? And then you lose that reoccurring info. So one of the things I will say about reoccurring income is that even like with what Michelle's doing, you still have churn, and you have to think about churn, right? Yes. But there's nothing better than having this like foundation, right? This same for my membership too, that it's this foundation piece. And then a lot of times from the foundation is that people pop out for other things, right? Like some of you have been in the Sales Maven Society, and then when I offered this program, signed up for it. Usually about 90% of the people who sign up for my master classes come right from my Sales Maven Society. So that's what's awesome about having some type of a membership or some type of something where people are paying you money every single month. And then when you have another opportunity for them, they're all in.
Okay.
I have an idea.
Imagine that.
I wonder if so for example, I use send out cards, right?
Yeah.
And I have for, I don't know, like 10 years or something. But I wonder if you had like some kind of like membership or program or something where you actually like educate people in how to gift to their clients. Because like I send a welcome gift. We create a campaign so they get cards and sometimes little bits and pieces, right? But like, I don't really know what I'm doing, right? Like my clients love it, but I don't, and I know the value, right? Like Nikki gets a gift and she's like, oh my God, this is awesome. But, but I'm sure there's stuff that I'm missing, you know? And like, what can you do throughout the year that sets you apart? Like to me, that's valuable information as the owner of my business, rather than just, like shooting off a Christmas card or whatever, right? Um, Actually having like this is what you should do and why and when, like how to plan your gift giving to your clients throughout the year so that you stand apart, right? Rather than, nobody looks at a Christmas card. Like, I don't know about you guys, I don't. Right. And sometimes people will bring me bottles of wine and I don't drink.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, I just give it to my team. But like, so it's often I don't even look at who it came from. I'm just like, if alcohol comes in, you guys have it.
Yeah.
But like that, like the education piece is something that I think is missing in the kind of like branded material or gift giving kind of aspect of business. Like even branded material, like should I have pens? I don't know. Do people care? Right? Like how do you distribute these things? I'm sure you know all the information. Like I'd pay a fee to have that kind of stuff, and then maybe once a month you provide like, or once a quarter or something, you provide some kind of content they could use, right? So like a card, some kind of thing they could send out to clients or something like that, or a suggestion, like copy even. Because really for the client, it's all about client retention.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes down to like, how can I make more money? Right? So I'll spend a little bit of money to make more money for sure, every time. And my clients love it when they get stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But even like, how do you use, like, so for example, I send a mug to new clients that says gratitude on it and a little card that says how grateful we are for them and blah, 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 right? And some of them do little videos of themselves opening it, and then they share those on social media. That's gold.
Yeah.
Right? I had a client do that, and then I had somebody else be like, I want to work with this accountant. Like, what accountant sends you a gratitude mug? Like, I want to have that accountant, right? So we got a new client from that. But it's like, even how to encourage your clients to give you feedback, or I don't know. To me, there's value in that.
I also could see, just to build off of that idea, that you could have like ideas of ways to things that they could do each month, right? So September, maybe there's 3 ideas. One is like your high-end gift, that they actually then they actually then purchase that gift from you, right? That they could send to however many clients. And you could have a limit, right? You could maybe only have 10 of those available, 10 packages of, 10 or whatever it is, right? And once they're gone, they're gone. So that also creates some urgency of the people who are in the membership, that like, well, I know in September I'm going to do a gift to my clients, so I know I better get in early on Janet's deal because it's the best deal, right? Not that they couldn't still buy other things from you, they could, but this particular item, there's a limited, right, number of packages. And then maybe there's a mid-level, and then there's a, the kind of bottom tier doesn't involve them actually spending money, but it does give them an idea of a way to appreciate or acknowledge clients in some way. And then there is this other component that Michelle is talking about, where you're explaining, the value of buying pens for your, as your swag versus buying something else, right? but and really kind of talking through that kind of stuff, I think would be interesting, especially to people that are like organizations that are like Michelle's size, right? That have some income or have some money, it's a budget for this type of stuff, but want to be more strategic in the way that they give.
Yeah, it's like, oh, hang on. It's like the strategy of giving.
Mm. I also think of it as like a client retention, right? Like a client retention strategy. Not that it's this specifically, Janet, but there's another, like, this could be super crazy idea for you. So this is really kind of a way out of the box for you thinking. But what's really becoming more prevalent, or maybe it's just because it's more in my like my sphere, you know, when you start being aware of something, then it's like you're aware of a bunch of them, is a subscription box.
Right.
There's some really successful ones out there. One that's specifically for women in business is called Sparkle Hustle Grow. And they are sourcing all different types of product all the time. I ended up having, they include things like there's access to training, there's a book, there's usually like some cool little thing for your desk, right? And so my book was actually in their box I don't even remember now, last November, I think. No, I guess it was February. It was February of this year. My book was in there. But I also was listening to a podcast of a woman who had like a storefront and she was struggling to sell products. So because of just kind of actually it was right at the beginning of COVID. So she went to a subscription box and she has like 2,500 people that order every single month. And she was saying on this podcast I was listening to that the most popular item that she puts in the subscription box is something that's branded with the person's initials or name. So I could see you doing a subscription box where people are getting like some really cool stuff every month, like especially people who love that kind of stuff. And you're doing all the sourcing, like you're putting together these freaking amazing boxes that they get from you every month. Or then you could also then offer them some type of you still have 1 minute, by the way. You could offer them the ability to create their own box to send to clients.
Yeah. Okay.
Lots of random thoughts there.
Yeah.
Tell me what, any last question or thought?
I think all this is really good. The sweet spot for us is companies that have 1,000 employees. So that's where we really put the bread on the table.
Yeah.
And they're doing big projects. But I do think that there's a lot of money to be made in all of this as well. And I'm really excited to take a deeper look at all the suggestions that have been made.
Okay, good.
I think this is a time to pivot. We've already pivoted many times. I feel like I've done a few pirouettes.
You've done some great pivoting. Yeah.
I think just you could really quickly, you could become an industry leader for entrepreneurs and understanding gift giving, for how it benefits their business.
Yeah, I appreciate
because
that.
That's not out there, right? Like that's not something that's talked about a lot. And so it's very much a blue ocean. It's that could be really really important. I know your sweet spot is the bigger company, but there's a whole world of entrepreneurs that don't understand, and you're so knowledgeable. So
Well, I have a huge network of entrepreneurs because I am an entrepreneur, and I've been so pleasantly surprised with the number of articles that we've written, how well they've been received. It has been beyond my expectation that people would call me and say, thank you for writing this. I read everything you write. I save it and I read it. Thank you for sending this to me today. I needed it. It's very unexpected.
So your writing is getting attention, and that might be something
Huge.
that you go
Yeah.
down that path right now. There's something that's calling to people. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. Verla, Goldie, or Michelle, who's next? Michelle.
I can go
Okay.
if you want.
So
yeah. So as I said earlier, my goal is to bring an additional minimum $3,500 a month in recurring revenue. 3 ways I can do this: to bring in new clients, which requires investment, right, of time and money and energy. I'm considering working with a person, Julie Fry, to get me booked on podcasts. I don't know if that's a good investment or not. So if anybody has any feedback on that, but I can increase my prices to my existing clients who are approaching the top level of their scope. So that's something I'm going to do, but I'll that's in the works. Prices will go up probably November 1st. In regards to price increasing, I'm sensitive to the fact that we could go into another COVID situation. And so I'm like, do I try to put the price up before that could happen in the fall when businesses might be freaking out again? Or do I wait and do like a January price increase, or just do it now? And then my third option identified is an up-leveling of their service package. And so my question really is, if you were getting bookkeeping and accounting support, and we already provide like a month-end report to the client in regards to their books and the profitability and a little bit of analysis. What would you want and be willing to pay for? Like, what would you see the value in that I can offer as an upsell?
Just for me, and I know that you've been talking about this, is the dashboard,
right,
of being able to track certain elements of a client's business.
Right.
I think
that's a good one.
I think that brings a lot of value. And so I'm wondering if maybe there's a 2-tiered approach to this idea of going back to being strategic and going back to certain clients on your roster and saying, I have some ideas of some additional ways that we can work together. And I almost want you to have the upsell be so attractive with this idea that there's a price increase if they stay as is, but if they bump up, then maybe it's not a big bump, but it's enough of it's enough, there's enough meat behind it that it's almost a no-brainer decision for somebody. Again, just being really candid about me as a client. If you came to me and said, the price of what you've been getting, Nikki, is going to go up $100 a month or whatever, and yet for $200 more, here's this other opportunity, that's a no-brainer for me.
Right.
But does that get you closer to where you want to go, and how much time and effort is it for your team to have this dashboard to track? But that's where I'm thinking for you. And I just made up that price, right? Like maybe it's
Totally.
more than a, $100 or $200 bump, but depending on where your clients are.
Mm-hmm. I like that idea. I like incorporating the price increase with that. And the dashboard can be maintained by my staff, right? So like, I don't want to, like, I was like, well, I could offer them a call a month, but then that's an hour of my
Your
time,
time. Yeah. I don't
right?
think you should be selling your time right now.
No, I don't think so either. So I can create the dashboard. I could probably even have somebody create the dashboard even. And like one of my CPAs could do that, and I could have my team update it for the client.
And, back to your question, it's always easier to earn repeat business than to earn new business. Right?
Yeah.
So, do I think a podcast strategy is a good idea for you? Absolutely, I do. But I think you have enough clients that you can get to that 3,500 without having to do this other piece. Now, this other piece might still obviously bring you new business, so whether or not it's worth it. But it's a long game strategy. Podcast guesting is a long game strategy.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like, and I'm just sitting there going like, okay, so it's my time, it's $1,000 a month, right? Like, I feel like I'm spending a lot of money right now
Yeah.
on like social media management and
Yeah.
blogging and like all this stuff, right? Which is important, but this seems like something else that I then have to do.
Yeah.
And I really need to spend more time like managing my business and supporting my team.
In support of the podcast idea, and this is why I continue to invest in it as well, is that what's different about podcast guesting, that's different about investing in Facebook ads, is Facebook ads are like one and done, right? And like you run the ad, but as soon as the ad is like, you're not paying for it anymore, it's gone. That's not the case with podcast guesting, because that content is evergreen.
Right.
And like, I still have people that come. I just had somebody reach out to me yesterday who heard me on Natalie Ekdahl's podcast, episode 312. I don't even know what episode she's on now, but she's probably close to 500. So they've gone back 200 episodes to listen to me.
Yeah.
So it's evergreen. That's the difference between podcast guesting. It might, again, this is my thoughts about it.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point.
But again, it's a long game, right? Because
yeah,
podcasting, I always say, speaking brings me clients. Podcast guesting brings me leads. Now I got to convert that lead. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do.
Right. Right. Okay, awesome. I love this. And so a dashboard, so really like it's understanding the important metrics for the client, because everybody's different, right?
Yeah.
It's not like I can come up with a generic dashboard. And so there's a little bit of like groundwork there for me.
Yeah.
Which is fine. And then I can outsource the build of it, and then I can get my team trained on how to complete it, like update it every month.
Well, and again, just knowing how you are in meetings, you can look at financials and you're asking questions of your clients that I think give you a pretty fast indication of what that dashboard should be.
Right.
Right. Like, because you and I just had this conversation. You're like, are you tracking
Totally.
this? Are you tracking this? And what about this? And that was probably 10 minutes of our hour-long conversation. But in that 10 minutes, you knew what the dashboard needed to be.
Right. Right. Okay. Awesome. I love it. Thank you so much. That's a great idea.
You're welcome.
Yay. That's all I got.
That's it. Well,
Yeah.
you still have 4.5 minutes.
That's okay. I can give my 4 minutes to Goldie or Verla.
Okay.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
I don't know where the bulk of your clients are in the life cycle of their business, but I think that if you've got any number of people that are in their 50s and plus, there's the whole concept of dashboarding to sell.
Mm.
And I think you could also partner with merger and acquisition companies that have huge spheres that, they may even want, somehow to partner with you for their clients. I don't know. I just think that that's a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I even actually have a coaching client that helps people prep their companies to sell.
Yeah, but it's a long conversation, and like the whole benchmarking,
Totally.
You can be like, if you're looking to sell in 10 years or whatever, this is where you need to be now. And I don't know if you serve a specific industry or like I've been in 11 verticals over the course of my career. But at different times I've been very, very much in a specific industry,
Right.
and you kind of know what they need.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
How exciting.
That is exciting. All right. Verla or Goldie, who's next?
Go. So I don't have anything really specific today, but your suggestions are really helpful. Yesterday I had a client send me an email that was contentious.
Oh.
And it was she was if I didn't know better, she was trying to kind of pick a fight, right? There was that edge. And so I was as gracious as I could be. And it really had nothing to do with me. It had to do with, there was a transition here in the city with people that do what I do. And there was a group that put together a unified center, and she started attending events there, and it was out of my hands. So I addressed her comments, which were a year later, and et cetera, et cetera. She was a high needs client and somebody that didn't really ever fit in, and it went well. And she got back and thanked me and said, yes, I've always had a good experience with you, and blah, blah, blah. But how do you gracefully decline business? Because one of her issues was I didn't accept free healings from her. Well, I don't accept healings from most people. Just like you don't accept coaching from most people.
Very true.
I imagine, right? I didn't mean to put words in your mouth, but most of us are pretty much you wouldn't accept bookkeeping from most people. Most of us are at the top of our game, so we're pretty discerning. So how do you gracefully decline those kinds of offers, especially from somebody that respects you and wants to support you?
Yeah.
And then how do you decline business? That would be very helpful today.
Okay.
And then I can always use support in upping my game and asking for referrals and introductions, because I do it quite regularly, but it never nets me anything consistently. It's not a sustainable, consistent reward.
Okay.
So those would both be helpful.
Okay. I have thoughts on both of those.
Okay.
All right. So when somebody is approaching you with this idea of like, I want you to hire me, you don't initiate it, right? But they're saying like, I want to offer you this, and, you know, I want you to hire me to do this, even if it's free or it's not free. I think it's important that you do a couple things. One is that you are very kind with your voice and say, thank you so much for the offer. I am going to decline that. And then you say like, thank you so much for the offer. I'm going to decline that. But again, appreciate the offer. And then, given the opportunity, I'm going to redirect the conversation so that it doesn't, so I don't go into a lot of, this is the one thing that will get you in trouble every single time, is if you say, I'm going to decline the offer, and the reason I'm going to decline the offer, and now you start giving this laundry list. You don't need to do that. You don't need to justify your reason for declining. Now, she may say, but I'm offering to do this for free. And you go, I understand. And again, thank you so much for offering. This is not a good fit for me. Well, I want to know why it's not a good fit. Now, if somebody is really pushing, then at some point I would say, you know, I'm a little bit curious as to why my no isn't acceptable to you and why you feel the need to continue down this road. Like, I want to keep our relationship intact. I'm respectfully declining. Can we leave it there? Because I am not going to get into the weeds with you. As soon as you get into the weeds with someone, it becomes this like, you said this and then that, and then why about that? And you need to, and it's like, I'm not even getting, it's the like, you actually cannot have an argument with somebody who refuses to argue back, right? Like, just like this woman yesterday. So when you're not willing to get into it with somebody, they can't really go anywhere with it. Now, if somebody is being really disrespectful, I'm also okay with ending a conversation. Like, I actually hung up on somebody 2 weeks ago because I asked for something. They kept telling me why I shouldn't be asking for what it was that I was asking for. Well, I'm the client in this particular case. And he just kept pushing, and he was like, you know, why do you feel like you need this? And obviously this is not a priority for you if you're asking for this information and blah, blah, blah. You know, as somebody in sales, you should understand blah, blah, blah. And as soon as I was just like, delete, hang up. Nope, we're not having this conversation either. So now if it's somebody that I want to keep a relationship with, the other piece to this is you get what's called selective amnesia. So will end this conversation, and then the next time I see the person, I go out of my way to send the message that we're okay. That happened, it's in the past, I'm not going to dwell on it. And most of the time when you just send the message like, hey, we're okay, like, oh, Verla, it's so great to see you. How have you been? What's going on with you? What's new with you? I'm so happy to get to connect with you again. I don't bring up the like, oh, sorry about last time. Like, I was in a bad mood. Nope, none of that. You just act as if it didn't happen. And most of the time people will just go right along with you because they don't really want to like get into it with you either. Now, if they try to get back into it, I would say, oh, I'm really surprised that this is still a conversation that you want to have. I thought I was really clear. So I act like, I'm a little confused. Like, I thought I was really clear that my answer was no. So maybe it makes sense for us to just end this conversation too. Like, I'm going to be nice if I want to keep the relationship intact, but relationships are there's two people involved, and I'll do my part. They have to do theirs. And if they're not willing to do theirs, I'm out.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting in this culture. I'm really so glad I asked you this question because I've had a couple of things now. So with her, in the initial email I sent her, I said, you know, I have one more thing to say. It seems like you're being a little bit contentious here. So I have a question. Do you want to continue to receive my emails? Because I thought, I'm going to handle this whole thing right now. Mm-hmm. and have it complete. And she got back to me, and her response was, thank you. And she got back and she said, yeah, I love your emails. I get great value from them. So I gave her the opportunity, I realized, to put us on good footing. And she did it. She picked it up and put it. Now, I then had a lunch I wanted to say to you, because in this is so valuable, because in this political environment, I had a lunch with a girlfriend a couple of months ago who we are of the same mindset. And we can talk politics all day long. She brought her significant other who's of the same mindset. Come to find out, he's much more radical. And of course, he influences her. And 4 times in an hour and a half lunch, I had to say to him, you know, we don't agree. And we now have to discontinue this conversation because I'm never going to agree to you. And finally, I had to up the ante. I'd say, Randy, we're not going to agree here one more time. Let's pick a new topic, because you're not going to convince me. I think differently. Let's agree to disagree and move on. Right? So any top tips about that in this environment?
It makes me wonder about, there was a saying that my NLP teacher used to say. It's from a poem, and I apologize, I can't tell you what the poem is because I don't know. But it was this, you know, somewhere between right doing and wrong doing, there's a field. How about if we just meet in the middle? Or it's something like that. Now, there's some things that you can do that are some gestures that send like a close to things. So sometimes you guys will actually see me do this. So when you see me do this, then you'll know what I'm doing. But there are some times where I'll say, you know, I get a sense that this is something that we're not going to find agreement on. So let's go ahead and let's just close this and let's talk about something else. Close, right? Sometimes I'll say, let's bookmark this and come back to it at a later time. Let's talk about this other thing, right? And so you do these like gestures. Now you don't do them harsh. I don't do this. I do this. It's soft. We're going to just close this for now, and we're going to move on in the conversation. It's that there's also a saying, it's like, if somebody's always trying to get your goat, move your goat. Like if somebody knows how to push your buttons, you got to move them. You just cannot engage with it. The other, I'm going to keep going until you tell me you're ready to move on to the other thing.
This is so helpful.
Okay.
I mean, this is so helpful for me in the dating environment, because I've actually pulled myself out of all dating right now, because I'll just say it, the men have gotten so mean, unbelievably mean, if I don't agree with them. So I've just stopped.
So the other thing that it's hard for somebody to maintain an argument with you if you don't give them eye contact. So if I was sitting at dinner with my friend and her significant other, and he was, you know, wanting to go, I would be super respectful and say, like, what, you know, I get a sense this is something we'll never find common ground on. So let's just bring it to a close and move on. Then as soon as he starts to talk about it again, my eyes go to her. Because you don't get my gaze. And when you don't give somebody your gaze, it's hard for them to because they're just waiting to get your gaze back so they can keep going. Now, as soon as he has good behavior and he talks about something else, then my gaze goes back to him. Now he gets it again. That's another, it's a really subtle, I feel like, I can't remember, Verla, if you were in my masterclass when I taught about body language. I don't know if you were in this one about the power of your gaze, but learning how to use your eyes as a way to direct attention and also a way to take back attention. This also works, by the way, when you're speaking and you have somebody in the room who wants to be like, I'm the know-it-all, like I know just as much as the speaker, and they want to continue to interrupt a conversation, or they want to always have their input. You want to create safety in the room for them, but what you stop doing is giving them your gaze. And then you start giving your gaze to the rest of the room, and it sends the message very subtly, be quiet.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
You're welcome. You want to talk about asking for referrals?
Yep.
Okay. One of the things I want to say about asking for referrals that's super important is being specific in your ask. Sometimes we're too vague. You know, please refer anybody you know who would benefit from this. That's too vague. That's like saying, you know, solve world peace and get back to me.
Yeah.
It's too much for our brains. So instead, when you're asking, is who is one person you know, or who are like 2 people you know that would benefit specifically from this process that we did today? And would you be willing, this is a really important part, would you be willing to make a connection on my behalf? Whether that's an email introduction or that's a text, but would you be willing? So you have to be more specific in your ask. When you say, do you know anybody? The answer is no. Knee jerk, no, because that's a yes or no question. Who do you know? Gets your brain thinking. So it's also the way that you frame the question. Who do you know? Or who is one person that you know that would absolutely benefit from going through the, you know, cleansing ceremony or whatever I can't remember now the name of the one that I went through with you. That was amazing.
The life activation.
Life activation. Who do you know? Who's one person you know who would absolutely love the life activation process? And would you be willing to make an introduction or a connection on our behalf? Most people, even if they don't have somebody off the top of their head, they'll like go about their day, their week, and they'll come across somebody and they'll be like, you know, I went through this life activation process with Verla Wade. It was incredible. Have you ever heard about life activation? Is that something you'd be interested in? Can I make a connection to you two? Right? Like, I think that's how I introduced you and Stacy.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
She's going to be in a class in a week or so, in fact.
Yeah. I know she was telling me she was super excited about the next class. All right. Goldie, my friend.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're up.
Hello.
Hi.
Guess I could turn my video on.
There you are. You're busy working today.
I'm just didn't want to have my screen on.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
What are we going to work on?
Well, I just wanted to say thank you for the conversation you just had with Verla. I feel like there was so much there that could be very helpful in communicating with my teenage son. So I was not thinking from a sales mindset, but from a parenting mindset. The gaze and the gestures and the not moving my goat. I don't really know what that means, but I've got to figure out what my goat is and move him.
Yeah. If someone's trying to get your goat, move your goat.
Yeah, that was some really good stuff. So what would I like some help with today? I think the creating curiosity for sales would be an interesting conversation. I'm currently selling chiropractic care, massage. I have products in the clinic that I sell, and then of course my coaching business. Just curious to see if you have any ideas there. And then I have, between my patients, the acupuncturists, the other chiros, the massage therapists, we have about 300 people kind of coming through, maybe more, coming through the clinic each month. And so there is an opportunity for selling products that people would be interested in. I sold a ton of masks early on in the pandemic, and so just maybe this would be more of a group ideas, but products that people would want that are, you know, in line with the kind of things that that could help with self-care or taking good care of your body.
Mm-hmm.
Those would be two of the things that I could use some help with today.
So this idea about creating curiosity it is how you answer some questions. So if you know that there's a particular, let's just say chiropractic, for instance, like we know we want to sell more chiropractic appointments. So when somebody's coming through the door and they're like, hey, Goldie, how are you? Instead of saying like, I'm fine or I'm good, we want to have an answer that spurs them to want to know more. So it might be something like, oh, sorry, I just am choking on my own breath now. You might say something like, oh, I'm so great. I just worked with a client who's been going through a long-term program and we're just seeing amazing results. And they go like, oh, that's good. Or they might go, I didn't know you had long-term programs. What does that mean? And what's long-term? Oh, well, this is a client who's committed to their recovery or committed to their health. They come in, and see us once a week. We've been seeing them now for 12 weeks and just the results, they're standing up straighter, they're sleeping better. It's just been amazing, the transformation in their life, right? Something like that. Or we could tweak these and play with them, right? It could just be if somebody says, how are you? Now only say things that are true, but it could be that you go, oh, I'm fantastic. My last patient, when we first started working together, was struggling to stand up straight. Now they're training for a marathon. How awesome is that? Right? It starts getting people thinking like, oh, if I wanted to train for a marathon or if I wanted to run or be better at whatever, maybe I should see Goldie more often. And it gets them asking questions. And as soon as they start asking questions about services, your job then is to invite them to the next step. So if they're asking about this program that you have or this long-term treatment plan, then it's important for you to say, is that something you'd be interested in? Is it something we should schedule a time to just chat about what that might look like for you? Because if you're not asking those questions, they're never asking them of themselves. They don't know that that's what they want until you pose the question, and then they can say yes or no to it.
Okay.
Same with this idea about massage, right? Or even products that are in the like clinic that you're selling, right? So if somebody's like, how are you today? And you go, oh, I'm great. We just got our newest shipment of the XYZ, and this is like our hottest product, so we're so grateful to have it back in stock. Now somebody goes like, I don't know about this product. Tell me about this.
Cool.
Tell me what you're thinking, because I can't tell. What
Oh,
question?
no, those are just great ideas.
Okay. The idea about creating curiosity is just to get really playful. Only say things that are true, but be willing to give not just a standard answer. Give something that how we know it works is somebody has a follow-up question. If you make a curiosity creating statement and people are like, well, that's nice. Okay, well, it didn't work for them. And if you do it 2 times to 2 different people or 3 times to 3 people, and they're all like, okay, that's nice, that isn't creating curiosity. So we need to change the statement. We need to play with it, tweak it a little bit. But if you say it and people are like, tell me more about that, now you know it works. So you just repeat it, right? Maybe it's the same one that you use all week long and you use it everywhere you go.
Cool.
Tell me what else. What other, do you have a particular situation in mind, or?
No, you put it as a list of things to ask about for potential conversations for today. And I thought, oh, what does that mean? And how would that apply to my business?
Okay. The other place that it could apply is in your posts on social media, right? One of the places that I think people are hesitant to want to just share, right? Like on social media. So one of the ideas that I incorporate and that I encourage my clients to do as well, is to ask a question.
Yeah.
So for instance, let's say you want to share about like a cool new product that you guys are now carrying in the clinic. The question that I would ask is, what's your favorite new product you found lately? Here's mine. So you ask the question first, then you share, versus
Right.
like, everybody check out this cool new product.
Yeah.
Like, now it sounds like a sales thing, but if you ask a question first, now it's a conversation. So that's another way I would encourage you to think about creating some curiosity, because now people are like, some people are going to actually answer the question, right? Here's my fun new product. Other people are going to be like, I don't have a new product. What's this one that Goldie's talking about?
Right.
And I want to check it out too.
That's a great one.
Or if you say something like, what's your, like you could ask the question, like how often or how many times a month or a quarter do you get a massage? Here's how many times I get a massage and here's why. And then you could have a call to action at the end of that around scheduling your, is it time to schedule your next massage? Reach out to us. We would love to see you.
Yeah, the same is true for chiropractic. You could easily ask that question.
I was reading this, or I was listening to this on a podcast. I think it was on a podcast. Somebody was talking about this, and I thought it was such a good point that most chiropractic or anybody that's in this like health and wellness space, a lot of times they're building their list based on people who've come in the door, right? Their email list is like, these are people who've come in the door. Now they're added to our email list. But there's this piece that's often missing. And this is the piece of building an email list for people who haven't worked with you yet. Right. And so anyway, I was just thinking about that for you. And
it's very true. I feel like having something on my website that said like, download this thing, or here's the free gift if you give me your email address on my business website would be helpful to capture those, because you're absolutely right. My email list mostly grows by people who have walked in the door, which is fine. They're the easiest people to market to. They already know, like, and trust me, or they're never coming back, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Which is why I have always, this is kind of, I was thinking back to Janet's question earlier, why I invest in someone to do my copywriting for my newsletter, because that generates more business for me and a recurring than anything else. I have her write articles for me every month about a condition. And so whatever condition we write about, then I get a bunch of calls of people, oh my God, I didn't know you help people with, TMJ problems. I always saw you for my low back pain. And so every month having a new article about a condition is super helpful. Anyway.
But even promoting that to people who would be interested in that month's article or that particular topic, but maybe they're not a client yet, would still, like, we got to still build the list. Right.
Yeah. And I used to do a lot of that at in-person events, right? Health fairs and whatnot.
Yeah.
You can win our raffle basket. Give us your email address.
But you could have them give up their email address to access the PDF of the article. Mm-hmm. Right, of your team, like, or you could organize them in categories, or you could say, you could put a resource center on your website that's like a hidden page that for additional resources around these types of issues, and you could categorize the articles that you put in there. You could group them, and it's one email address they have to give up to access all of the content behind the wall. That's actually what I do for my podcast listeners, is to get the content that's there. You go to yoursalesmaven.com/Maven, and you give up your email address one time, because I only just want to capture your email address. And I put right now, I think there's 3 pieces of content in there. There's a training, there's my ebook, and there's a buying signals checklist, right? I don't make you give your email for each of those things. You just give it up one time and then you get access to these things. So that's another way you could do that. Just a thought.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How about increasing curiosity for coaching?
For coaching, it's a lot. Again, it's the same idea of like asking some questions. One idea that I would suggest for you is, if a coaching client has like a really amazing compliment or has a win that they want to share, one of the ways that I share these is I'll ask and say on social media, what's the best compliment you've gotten lately? Here's one that I just got about my coaching, right? And that's planting that seed too. You could ask the question.
Asking a question is such a good tip. I feel like I dropped that a little bit.
You could also be asking like, what's one thing people are often surprised to learn about you, right? And your answer could be like, share yours, is that people don't know that you coach other chiropractors on how to grow a successful chiropractic business. That could be the thing.
Yeah.
Now they could say like, oh, people don't know I have a tattoo, or people, like they could have random answers and engage with them when they post, right, their answer. But they might be like, there might be somebody on there that's like, I actually didn't know that Goldie did this, and my sister just, wants to get into chiropractic or whatever.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. It's a long game of playing creating curiosity, but you also can do it in your phone calls too, right? If you're on a call with somebody or in a conversation with somebody, you always want to be looking for ways to plant seeds. So if somebody says like, what have you been up to lately, Goldie? I don't want you to say like, oh, I'm just trying to get through COVID or get through the fires. Like, that's okay. And that's true, but that doesn't actually bring any like new business. So if you say like, oh, I have a whole new offering where I'm working with chiropractors to help them grow successful businesses. Now that's a planting a seed. And then somebody might be like, well, what does that mean? Or tell me more about that. Or they might go, well, that's nice. How are you doing through the fires? Right? Like they could totally change the subject. That's okay. But if you're not planting seeds, you are not creating curiosity.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, Kristen said she was going to join us. I did get an email from her, and then now she didn't join. So I'm not sure what happened. So Kristen, if you're watching this, we missed you. And I want to open it up just in the last few minutes. Any additional thoughts, questions, things that came up, having heard other people's sessions that you guys want to hear. I have heard from a few of you about continuing on. If we have not had that conversation yet and you have a decision as to whether or not you want to continue in another 3 months of this program, a yes or no, would you please let me know? We can either save that for your 15-minute check-in, or if you just even want to shoot me an email, yes, I'm in, or no, I'm not, or I have some concerns or criteria to continue. I'm happy to hear that stuff from you guys as well. I know for sure we have 2 people that do want to continue. So I'm just waiting. I need to have at least 4 to say yes, and then to open this up to a few other people who I think want to do it. Okay. All right. So in the last few minutes, anybody have anything they want to bring back up into the group or ask about?
I wanted to tell Janet about a couple other copywriting. I don't know how this would apply to your business, but I have paid for other kinds of copywriting subscriptions similar to you, Nikki, with like something that gets mailed to me. It was like so this was probably 10 years ago, but it was a printed newsletter that
Yeah.
would get mailed to all the patients. Now I have a copywriter who helps me with my newsletter and my blog. A lot of the times I write a lot of the technical stuff and she makes it sound easier for patients to read. But there's another guy who writes and so I think keeping your copywriter busy and doing your own copywriting is such a great thing since it's working really well for you. This one guy is really good at research, and so he writes like a research briefing. I don't like reading research articles, and he prepares it in a way that makes it really easy for me to understand, so I can explain the research around chiropractic benefits to medical doctors and to my patients. So that idea that Michelle was having about you writing about gift giving, like, it's just such a great idea. So I hope you'll continue to think about that.
Awesome. Who else? Question, comment?
It was very helpful today. I'm so
Thanks,
sorry I
Verla.
missed the last two.
Well, we're happy you're back. So we have one more session in September, which will be a mastermind. So please come prepared with something you would like to pose to the group. It could be something that we worked on today that you want to bring back into the group and get some additional feedback on, or something that we haven't even thought about yet. I'll try to offer some suggestions again to try to get the juices flowing for you if you're not sure what to ask about in the mastermind. So yeah. So I'll say, any last going once, going twice. Then I'm going to bring this to a close. Thank you, Verla. I just saw you put a note in here for me.
Yeah, I just got that I just received that information. So that gives you the correct stats.
Did you look to see what the open rate is?
Yeah, I did. I have it here if you want it.
I'm just curious.
Yeah. I entered it and then I didn't tell you when I was with you. So we had the first one we had 41.9%, or the second, or 3 clicks. The second one we had 1, or 33.5%, and the third we had 0, which is 25.7. We're just running the fourth one now. We've had 1 open, and we'll run the 5th one at 6 o'clock tonight.
Okay.
So we've had five opens.
Yeah, so if you look at 5 people actually looked at the email.
And 3 registered.
It's not a huge number of people. So if you're closing people on that, because that's really the only people that you can sell to are the people who actually open it and look at it.
Yeah.
Right.
So 3 out of 5. Well, those are the clicks.
Those are the clicks, which is also really good.
I don't know what the opens are. I didn't give you the numbers of the opens.
I thought you did. I thought you said
the
41.
opens are percentages.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't give you the numbers. I gave you the percentages.
That's okay. So it was 41%, and then it was
33.5%, and then the next one was 25.7%.
So it's a good open rate. But even if you look at and say, now I have to pull out my calculator. So for the first one, it was like 107 people opened it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you close 1%, like you actually close like between 1 and 5% of that 100 people, that's a
2 or 3 on that one.
Yeah, so that's a good close rate. That's what I'm saying. That's a good close rate.
And then I don't think I've closed any after that.
And you might want to tweak the message that's going out tonight and only send it to people who have opened, or not opened. Well, you could send it to only people who've opened, but you could also just do a really targeted message to people who have clicked but haven't bought.
Okay.
So if you could convert another 1 or 2 of those people who clicked but didn't buy, there's something that's holding them back from making the purchase because they clicked on it and there's some reason they didn't buy.
Okay.
One of the ways that you might, something you could potentially do is you could say, here are a few questions that have come about this program. And in case you have questions, here are some answers. And then you could list like 3 to 5 questions. I would plant some seeds in those questions. You know, think about, what do people really need to know in order to say yes to this offer?
Okay. Okay, great. Thanks.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right. Michelle, Verla, thank you both for being here. I will see you guys in a couple weeks, if not before. Okay. Bye, everybody.